Hello everyone. I will be reporting tools reporting MIL tools and techniques. But before I proceed to that, let me ask you guys something. Have you ever shared a post, react to it, or believed something online without even checking if it was true? I think most of us have, right? That's exactly why media information literacy is important. It's not just about the journalists or the professional people, but it is all for us because we live in a generation where we are all exposed to technology. That's why we are all part of media. First, am I first one of the reasons reasons why MIL is important is because media acts as a watchdog. But what's interesting here is that we are also the watchdog. Because why you might say, through our smartphones and social media, we have the power to capture, spread information anytime. It's like a dog, diba, that barks at something when it senses something suspicious. It alerts others. However, unlike a dog that reacts immediately, responsible media doesn't just report anything right away. They first verify, then investigate, and make sure that the information that will get to the public is the correct news. Now, once information is shared, it leads to conversation. That's why MIL also promotes informed public discourse. Examples would be public debates, rallies, and even comment sections online. Those comment sections where people are often argue a lot. Like without MIL, these discussions can easily turn into misunderstanding, negativity, or the spread of false information. But with MIL, diba, we have LARD, and there we get to communicate with other people, we get to share in our opinions about certain issues, and we get to see other people's opinions too. Because with MIL, people learn to view different opinions, use fact to support what they want to say, and think critically before responding. However, not all information we see online is true. And this is where another importance of MIL comes in. It helps fight misinformation and disinformation. Because of false information spreading quickly, sometimes people share wrong information without meaning to. Sometimes it's done to deceive, and other times it's meant to harm. That's why MIL teaches us to verify information before believing or sharing it. It encourages us to check sources, question what we see, and make sure that what we share to the public is the correct information. In this way, we don't become part of the problem, we become part of the solution. And when people are informed and responsible, it leads to something even bigger. MIL helps support and strengthens democracy. Because a strong democracy depends on the people who can think critically and make informed choices. If people believe fake news or misleading information, they can easily be influenced, which weakens the democracy. But when people are media literate, they ask questions, look for reliable source, and make better decisions, especially during elections. We need to think critically, be media literate in terms of choosing the right leaders for our country, because based on what is happening to our country right now, as you can see, I believe that it is not the best. Yeah. So MIL gives us the power not just to consume information, but to understand it and use it responsibly. So not that we understand why media information literacy is important, the next question is, why is it still difficult to apply it in real life, even if we already know it? The answer is because there are also several challenges in reporting and practicing MIL. One major challenge is the spread of misinformation and disinformation. Have you ever seen a post online that looks so real that you almost believe that immediately? Like, that's exactly how fake information spread. For example, there was a viral claim about grade 13. Many people shared it right away without checking, but it was later debunked. The truth is, there is no actually grade 13 being added, only improvements to the current senior high school system. Another example is the news from Philippines Update in 2018, which spread a story about claiming a parish priest impregnates two daughters of his associate pastor. But it became believable because of a photo showing a man being arrested. However, the image was actually taken from a different incident in 2015 involving a man being arrested from a drug raid. And the information was fake news and used to ruin the image of the local church. Another challenge is bias and lack of objectivity in news reporting. Have you noticed how many events can sound different depending on the words used in the media? For instance, one international report said Russia invades Ukraine, while another said Israeli troops crossed into Lebanon. Russia and Israel both carried out military actions involving entering another country, but the way the news describes them is not always the same. It describes as Russia as more negative by word choice than what word choice used for Israel. Israel was described as more softer than Russia, making one side more negative than the other. We can also see bias in local coverage. For example, ABS-CBN focused on negative effects of the jeepney modernization program, such as higher fares and fewer routes, which made the issue sound more problematic. On the other hand, GMA News focused more on the government updates and progress, making it more neutral and informative. This shows that even when reporting the same issue, media framing and word choices can influence how people understand and interpret news. Another issue is the lack of media literacy skills, which leads to difficulty in verifying source. Many people tend to believe information at face value, especially when it looks convincing or widely shared. This is worsened by habits like doom scrolling, infinite scrolling on apps like TikTok, where we are constantly exposed to new content. Like during the pandemic, this became more common as people spend more time online, where people, due to lockdown, they don't get to go have the privilege to go outside because of the pandemic. So people tend to spend more time online, affecting attention span and reducing critical thinking. As a result, people often scroll without analyzing information and may share content without checking its accuracy. And that's the example of this example of mine of how a person that lacks media literacy skill would react to a post, because some people believe that, like, some people believed a news about something because of what is in the headline, so it must be true. So, or a post has many likes and shares, it must be credible. But popularity doesn't really equal to the truth. Manipulation also and influence is a challenge in media information literacy. It refers to how media can shape or affect people's thoughts, feelings, and decisions through bias, emotional, or misleading content. Like, for example, Angel's Burger, where noon we can buy one burger for 20 pesos, but now they have the promo of buy one get one, and we, the people, are manipulated to buy the Angel's Burger because of the promote the sale of buy one take one. So we are manipulated and influenced to buy it. And lastly, the fast-paced information sharing. It is a major challenge in MIL because new posts spread quickly online. This speed makes information easier to access, but it also increases the risk of misinformation. And yeah, before it is verified, people tend to share it immediately without checking if it's accurate or not. This puts pressure on users to think critically in short amount of time. Now, we have discussed about the challenges in media information literacy. It is also important that we look at the tools that can help us address these issues. In MIL reporting, one of the most important categories of tools is digital tools. This includes search engines like Search engines like Google, Bing, also I think Firefox, which are commonly used to find information quickly. Although it is still important to compare multiple sources instead of relying on just one. Fact-checking websites such as Snopes, Verifiles, and Rappler's, not all information are fact-checkable. Fact-checking websites are also very helpful because they can help verify whether viral news or posts are true, false, or misleading. In addition, I have an example here about a video of Vice Ganda supplementing weight loss supplements, and it was actually debunked by Rappler, and it was said that it was fake and was made AI. So I also have government sources like Philippine Statistics Authority, Department of Health, Pag-asa, PNA, and also the DepEd. And especially for statistics, it provides official and accurate data, especially for statistics, health updates, and weather information. Another helpful is reverse image search, such as Google Image Search and TinEye, which helps check if an image is original, reused, or taken from a different event, making it easier to detect fake or misleading visuals. Aside from digital tools, there are also multimedia tools used in reporting. This includes smartphones and other recording devices that are used to capture photos, videos, and interviews during events. Cameras with microphones, individual microphones, are also used to ensure clear audio and quality recording. These tools are very important in journalism because they also allow reporters to document real events as they happen, especially during interviews, public gatherings, and breaking news situation. Another important area is social media monitoring, like Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, and X, Twitter, IG, and more. They are not just about entertainment only, but also sources of information and public discourse. And also, to help track what is trending or widely shared, tools like TweetDeck and CrownTangle are used. These tools allows journalists and researchers to monitor viral posts, track discussions, and analyze how information spreads online. Now we know that about the tools, let's proceed to the techniques. One of the most important techniques is verification and fact-checking. This means checking information carefully before sharing it. Journalists compare multimedia sources like GMA News, ABS-CBN News to confirm if the information is consistent. They also rely on fact-checking websites like Rappler or verify viral content. Now, let's proceed to the techniques of interview and observation. This means getting information directly from people involved in the situation, over observing people firsthand instead of relying only on online posts. For example, like if there's a recent disaster like a typhoon or earthquake, journalists should talk to barangay officials because they provide official updates and information about the community needs. They also need interview disaster victims because they can share real experiences and the actual impact of the event. In addition, they should gather information from local authorities because they provide official reports, rescue operations, and safety updates. By combining all these sources, journalists can produce news that is accurate, complete, and balanced. Because in the end, a journalist's responsibility is not just to report quickly, but to ensure that every detail shared with the public is correct and verified. That leads us to a very important reminder in media information literacy. We should always think before you click, verify before you share.
So, good day everyone. Now let us tackle to the very last part of our group report in media and information literacy in journalism. So, my topic is creation of media and content and MIL in practice. So, we will be specifically tackling on media and content creation. So, as what the first reporter mentioned, each one of us can be reporters, right? We have now technologies, we have information that we can gather online and share it to other people. So that is basically journalism. But it is important to note that not all information we see online is accurate and safe. Some are intended to mislead other people and to harm others. So that is why it is still important to understand media and content creation. So, before going deeper, let's start this discussion with a quick game. So, the game is called, sorry, guess the name of social media app. So, I will project a logo or a symbol for famous social media apps and then we will try to guess it. Okay, so let's start. So, this is Facebook, Pinterest, Telegram, Reddit, LinkedIn, Instagram, and lastly, X, or famously known as Twitter. So, let me ask you guys, do you use these apps? Most of us probably do, right? We use it for knowledge sharing, for keeping up to date, for communicating others. But do you know that there are three types of misleading or harmful content that are circulating in those social media apps? Well, the three types of misleading information are misinformation, disinformation, and lastly, malinformation. So, let's start this discussion with misinformation. So, misinformation are false information with no harmful intention. The person sharing it usually believes that that information is true. So, let's take a look at this example. So, may gallstone ka at wala kang sapat na pera na pang-opera, may mabisang home remedies na makakatulong sa'yo para mailabas ito. Gagawin mo lang ay kumuha ng 3 pirasong lemon at 120 milliliters ng olive oil. Hatiin ang lemon at kunin ang katas. So, this is a classic example of misinformation. Why? Because, first of all, this person is sharing a misinformation about gallstone. So as you can see, he is saying that these ingredients that you need to prepare can heal gallstone, even though it it is it doesn't have any scientific backing. So this is a great example of misinformation, and the person sharing it usually believes that that information is true. Okay, now let's tackle disinformation. So disinformation are defined as false information with the intention to mislead people. So let's take a look at this example. So remember the fake video of PBBM, or also known as the Pulveron issue? Well, this is a classic example of disinformation. So why is this disinformation, you might ask? Well, To start, this video was deliberately created. It was AI generated and it was debunked by the palace itself. So by definition, disinformation are false information or fake information with the intention to mislead people or to harm the image of someone. Well, in this case, it is the image of our president, right? So now let us tackle the last type of misleading information, which is malinformation. So, malinformation are true information that is shared to harm someone. So, misinformation are false information with no harmful intent. Disinformation are false information with harmful intention. And lastly, malinformation are true information that is shared to harm someone. So, let's take a look at this example. Do you remember the cheating issue of Maris Racal and Anthony Jennings and Miss Jamel Villanueva? So this is a type of misinformation because number one, Miss Jamel Villanueva posted screenshots without the permission of both the parties, Anthony Jennings and Maris Racal. And in the interview, it said that Miss Racal was embarrassed because of the leaked screenshot. So, any types of screenshot that is shared without your permission and that is shared to harm you or your image is a type of malinformation. So now let's try to differentiate the two. So misinformation, truthfulness, false with no harmful intent. Disinformation are false with intentional deception. And lastly, malinformation are true information with intentional harm. So, let us ask ourselves, why does it keep spreading? Misinformation, disinformation, why does it keep spreading online? As Atom Arroyo would call it, it is a virus that is slowly affecting each one of us. So, to answer that question, let us remember the APP. So, A stands for attention. People are naturally drawn to likes. Do you remember Boy Tapang fan page, right? The He is known for his very unique contents online. Well, because of that attention, people share information even though it's false because they just want likes, shares online. They just want traction online. Okay? Even though it's false, they just share it because they want attention online. That's it. That's really it. Now, the P is still connected to attention, which is profit. So the logic here is simple. The more people follow a post, the more it gains followers, the more it gains traction, the more income does it give to the account. So attention and profit is still connected to each other. But the last part, which is the power, is a different one. Misinformation can change our perspective, can change our narrative in things. So it is very dangerous and it is very important for us to know these types of harmful information that are circulating online. So with the spread of these harmful informations, how does Facebook respond to it? Well, Facebook does three things. So first, Facebook do content analysis. So, what do we mean when we say Facebook do content analysis? So, Facebook analyzes a post based on the audience responses and user engagement. So, Facebook will investigate why a specific post or a specific account gain traction online and gain more comments, likes online. So when a post passed through that, it is then forwarded to the evaluation of content. So what do we mean when we say evaluation of content? Facebook analyzes or it assesses whether it aims to reduce voter participation, if it contains real threat or violence, or if it violates social and regulation rules. So when a post again pass through that level, it is then forwarded to fact checkers. So important note on fact checkers, not all fact checkers can be trusted and not all information are fact checkable. So when a post is found out to be a misinformation or it is a harmful information like disinformation, misinformation, or malinformation, Facebook then employs censorship and low interaction. So, have you guys seen this sign here online? When you see that when a specific post shares misinformation or any graphic post. So, let's see this example of how Facebook fights misinformation. So, this is a quote card from Representative Lordan Swan of Cagayan de Oro City. Kayong mga OFW, wala kayong utang na loob sa ating presidente. Yan ang pahayag ni Representative Lordan Swan sa mga OFW matapos sabihin, hindi umano alam ng Pangulo ang kanyang ginagawa. So, if you go back to the original post online, you will see this. So, it has been censored by Facebook that this information is in fact false. So, if you tap CY, Lordan's one quote card calling OFWs ungrateful is fake. So this post actually went through the 3 steps. See, content analysis, evaluation of content, and lastly fact checkers. In this case, it is verifiles. So important note on fact checkers again. Fact-checking organizations only limit misleading content. So the keyword here is limit. It doesn't necessarily remove all the harmful information that are circulating online. Individual must still practice media and information literacy to evaluate information. So being media literate means we understand the media messages, we identify the bias and intent, and lastly, we can evaluate its credibility. Now, what do we mean when we say we are information literate? So, being information literate means we find reliable sources online. We can check accuracy if it's trusted or not. And lastly, we use the information we gathered responsibly. So, applying media and information literacy, therefore, is the ability to understand media and content information, critical thinking in digital content, and lastly, guide for informed decision. So this is a great example, or this is a great comment from a journalist. So this is from Mr. Miu Ong Kiao. He's a Myanmar journalist from Myanmar Journalism Institute. So MIL is important for me because at a time when misinformation and disinformation are widespread, it helps society to make the right decision. Okay, so think before you share. So think before you share because again, not all information we see online is accurate and safe. So let us now tackle to the second part of our topic. But before starting, let's play another game. So think about whether the images are worth sharing. So I will project a image or a picture of a post and we will try to evaluate whether it is worth sharing. So there are rules in games, right? So in our game, there are also categories. So the first category is verified information, which means it is accurate and reliable, which means it is from a trusted source. Next, relevant information, which means it is useful and timely. And lastly, responsible information, which means ethical and safe. So let's start. Okay, so this information is worth sharing. Why, you might ask? Well, let's take a look at the category again. Okay, first off, verified information. In our in our example, the source for this information is ABS-CBN. As what the first reporter mentioned, it ABS-CBN or mainstream media are somewhat reliable. So we can check verified information. Next, relevant information, which means it is useful and timely. Of course, that post was useful and timely because now we know that Iranian missiles have no way of hitting us here in the Philippines. And lastly, responsible information, which is ethical and safe. So that information is and ethically safe to share online to inform other people about Iranian missiles. Okay, next post. Point. So, isang hotel sa Dubai binigyan ng one-star review matapos umanong tamaan ng rocket ang kwarto ng isang guest. Source, random Facebook account. So, sa source pa lang, alam na natin na hindi ito trusted sources because it is just from a random Facebook account. So, verified information. It is not verified information because, again, it came from a random Facebook account. Relevant information, useful and timely. Yes, it is useful. No, I mean it is not useful, but it is timely, as we know naman the war that is happening in the Middle East. And lastly, responsible information, which means it is ethical and safe. So I guess that was just for meme purposes or for clout or satire purposes. Okay, now let's hop on to the next picture, which is a Philippine Republic of Korea forged stronger defense ties with new agreements. The source for that is the Department of National Defense. So this information is worth sharing. Why? Because number one, it was verified information. The source for that specific post was the Ministry of Defense. Okay, next is relevant information, which means it is useful and timely. We all know the situation in the South China Sea, right? Or South Philippine. Yeah, South China Sea. And lastly, responsible information, which means it is ethical and safe. It was ethically safe to share because it aims to give information to other people. Okay. Information spread fast online, so users should verify it first. As what we have demonstrated, we are bombarded with different types of information online. There are posts of cloud to inform others, but it is important that we verify it first before we repost or share the information that we gathered online. So the International Fact-Checking Network offers a verification checklist. So let's do now the demonstration part. So let us try to assess whether this article is true information. Okay. In determining whether a specific information is true or trusted, we must always check the source. So for our demonstration, the source for that is the Philippine Daily Inquirer, which I've done my research on. Philippine Daily Inquirer is one of the most trusted news outlet here in the Philippines. So we can check that. Next, cross-checking information. What do we mean when we say cross-checking information? So cross-checking information means we go to different sources to check whether this specific information is accurate. So true information usually is shared by or reported by many sources or mainstream media. So as you can see in our post, there are quotes that are basically the same. So then we can conclude that that information was true. So we can check that. Next, verify the author. So for our author is Mr. Dexter Cabalza. He is a member of Pulse Print Media Joint Forces versus Fake News. So he published, this is actually 731 articles published. So we can say that our author is trusted, reliable, because he published multiple articles online. And we know that mainstream media will not damage their reputation for sharing misinformation online, right? Okay, next, check images and videos. So this only applies if a specific post contains images and videos. So we can check for accuracy, or if it is true, or if it was just AI generated. Okay, next, examine the numbers carefully. So it must be logical. So when we are looking at a post that says that there is a price hike, it must be accurate that there is a price hike. So again, this the cross-checking information will also be helpful in examining the numbers carefully. And another useful information that we should look out for is the spelling. So as what Sir Peter mentioned, spelling is one of the giveaways that specific information is false. Okay, so check the numbers and spelling carefully. Next, consult fact-checking websites. Again, Verifiles, uh, TechPH. There are many types of fact-checking websites that you can see online. But again, important keynote, not all information are fact-checkable and not all fact-checkers are trusted. So it is still up to us to decide whether an information is true or not. Okay, next, ask questions. So in some media outlets, you can ask question or verifying questions from the author. So in our case, it is just a subscription, so we can't really ask for verification. But again, by following those steps, checking the author, cross-checking information, uh, checking the images and videos, we can then conclude that an information is true. And lastly, understand the impact of sharing. The information you share online has the power to shape other people's ideas, other people's thinking. So be mindful always for the information that we see online, because again, as we keep mentioning, not all information we see online is accurate and safe. Now, so do you have any questions? Any questions? I guess not. So we will now do our summary. So, media and information in journalism. So, from our first reporter, we understand what being a journalism means. In the second reporter, we understand what are the ethical consideration or the ethical dilemmas that the journalists use. The third reporter is where we understand the media tools to help us evaluate an information online. And the fourth reporter help us understand the media and information literacy in human rights. And lastly, for my part, we've understand media and content creation. Now to summarize, again, not all information we see online is accurate and safe. Always fact checked, but again, not fact checked. All fact checkers are trusted, but being media and information literate is the number one this is the number one thing that would help us avoid misinformation or believe misinformation online. So always remember to think before you share. So this ends our presentation. So I hope you guys understand something from our report, and that would be all. Thank you.